speaker today is Amanda Henley. Amanda is Head of Digital Research Services at UNC Chapel Hill University Libraries. Ms. Henley leads a team of data and technology experts in supporting research that uses geospatial technology, spatial and numeric data, statistics, data visualization, text analysis, and other digital scholarship methods. She's been co-PI on Collections as Data project since 2019. This is On the Books, Jim Crow and Algorithms of Resistance, a Collections as Data and Machine Learning project that uses text analysis to identify racist laws enacted in North Carolina during the Jim Crow era. So Amanda, I will hand over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. I'm going to try and share my screen. Can everyone see okay?
Yes, it's fine. Thank you, Amanda.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So as Christopher said, my name is Amanda Henley, Head of Digital Research Services. I'm with the University Libraries at UNC Chapel Hill, and I'm presenting on the books Jim Crow and Algorithms of Resistance. So as you can see, we have a very large, talented team, and the work I'm presenting today is the work of this very large team, and I'm presenting on behalf of the whole group. This work required a wide range of expertise, and so this team spans multiple departments and units. So a little bit about the project. On the Books is a Collections as Data project to make North Carolina laws more accessible to scholars by creating a plain text corpus or textual data set that contains over 100 years of North Carolina session laws. And in addition to creating this corpus, we've also used machine learning to identify discoverable segregation statutes from the Jim Crow era, which we defined as 1866 to 1967. The idea for this project came from a librarian from Special Collections who's on our team. She had received a reference question from a teacher who was looking for a comprehensive listing of Jim Crow laws in North Carolina. So the volumes that she needed to answer the question were already digitized and available in the Internet Archive, but were not easy to search for this purpose. So she had attended a text analysis workshop, and that had kind of piqued her interest as to whether or not text analysis might be able to be used to identify Jim Crow laws. So prior to our research, the most comprehensive listing of Jim Crow laws for North Carolina was compiled by Dr. Reverend Polly Murray, who's shown here. She was a lawyer, priest, a human rights activist, and co-founder for the National Organization for Women, as well as author of the book States Laws on Race and Color. So this book cataloged racist laws in every state of the country, including Murray's home state, which is North Carolina. And Dr. Reverend Murray went through print volumes to identify Jim Crow laws. So very painstaking research. Our project builds on this existing scholarship using some new methods. So I'll speak very briefly about our workflow for creating the collection as data. So first, we compiled a list of all of the volumes that we needed for the corpus and downloaded the images from the Internet Archive. And we did quite a bit of processing on the images prior to OCR using some custom scripts that were written in Python. This image shows an example of one of the pages in the corpus, and you can see that I've highlighted here in red boxes the marginalia that's on the side of the page, as well as the paratextual information at the top of the page. So part of the processing that we did on these images was to identify the location of the marginalia and paratextual information for each page. So we did this so that we could exclude that information from the corpus. We also rotated the images as needed and identified the median color values on the images so that we could read them later, and added some color matched borders around the text to improve the OCR readability. We then used Tesseract to OCR over 80,000 pages, and during the process, the scripts manipulated the images on the fly to improve the OCR. We also cropped the images to exclude marginalia. We replaced it with color matched borders around the text and applied various other image adjustments. The volumes in our corpus are organized by chapter and section. The sections are the individual laws, and that was our unit of analysis for the text analysis work. So before we could classify each of the laws, we had to first parse them into chapters and sections. So we used regular expressions or pattern matching to do this. There were a lot of challenges with this, including the errors and inconsistencies that were found in the original volumes. You can see in this image here, we've got section 6, section 7, section 7.5, section 7 3/4. So this is just one of the interesting variations that we found in the original volumes. And after parsing the volumes, we corrected common errors that we found with scripts, and then we had to correct or split manually the worst of the volumes, which ended up being about half of them. So for the text analysis portion of the project, we're relying on machine learning techniques to identify the Jim Crow laws. So we've used supervised classification to classify the laws. And this supervised classification requires a training set so that it can train the algorithm how to identify these Jim Crow laws. And our training set is composed of Jim Crow laws that were identified by Dr. Reverend Polly Murray, who I spoke of, and also a North Carolina lawyer and scholar named Richard Pascal, whose recently published book is shown here. He shared with us the laws that he had identified during his research phase before this book was published. So in addition to the examples of the Jim Crow laws, we also needed examples of laws that were not Jim Crow laws for the training set. So in order to identify these, we created a random sample of laws from the corpus and had our scholarly experts, William Sturkey and Kimber Thomas, go through and classify those laws. So we tried several different models for this law classification, including multinomial naive Bayes and various ensemble methods. To assess the precision of the models, 80% of the training set was used to train them, and then the remaining 20% of the training set was used to compare the precision between the models that we tested. And ultimately, an XGBoost model was selected because it had the highest precision in classifying Jim Crow laws. The model included the type of law, so it could be a public law or private law or a local law, and the year that the law was passed. We used a conservative 90% probability of being Jim Crow as our cutoff point. So for our first release, that was last August, we identified 905 Jim Crow laws. Some of them were identified by experts on the team, some were identified by just the model, and some were identified by the model and then later confirmed by an expert. So since last August, we've been working on phase 2 of the project. So right now we're working to finalize products from phase 2, and that includes version 2 of the corpus. And this version is going to have more accurately split laws, an improved text analysis workflow, and a model that's also improved. That's helped us identify more than twice as many Jim Crow laws this time. All of these laws were then verified by an attorney on our project team. And we're going to also release the training set, which can be used to identify Jim Crow laws in other states. So it's probably one of the most important products, I think, from this project. So we're pretty excited about that. And so now I wanted to share with you the website for a quick tour here. So this is our website. You can see it's been designed to serve 3 main communities or audiences. We have those that are interested in teaching, we have those that are interested in research, and we have those that are interested in the laws. So we'll go ahead and take a look at the Jim Crow law page. So this is a searchable database of the Jim Crow laws that were identified in one of 3 ways: by a human expert, by a computer algorithm, or by a computer algorithm and then confirmed to be Jim Crow by a human expert. And I'll give you an example of how to search. If you typed in a keyword like cemetery, and click on the search button, you'll be able to scroll down and see a preview for each of the laws and how it was identified as a Jim Crow law. And then if you click on the View Law button, that will allow you to see the plain text of the law. But you can also either click on the View Image or View PDF to see what the law looked like as it was printed in the book. And here we see a law that requires the segregation of cemeteries by race. So in addition to just the Jim Crow laws, we have a full corpus of all of the laws in North Carolina during the period of 1866 to 1967. And that is available in plain text or XML format from the Carolina Digital Repository. But we also have an essay provided by Dr. William Sturkey called The Laws in Context, which details how these laws affected and continue to affect people in North Carolina. And on the research tab, we've made available the project outcomes and the white paper that outlines the methods and workflows that we did for this project. And we also have made our code available through a GitHub repository, along with tutorials and explanations on how to use these scripts. And since this project was initially inspired by a K-12 teacher, we've provided a variety of educational resources for teaching about Jim Crow. So we're partnering with Carolina K-12, which is an educational institute at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill that works with K-12 teachers. And they're creating lesson plans for educators using our materials. And this concludes my presentation. Thank you, and I look forward to answering any questions that you have.
Thank you so much, Amanda. An amazing project, such amazing work there. I really love the fact it's, open source and educationally focused too.